asked her if he got hurt when he fell down. She said, no, he went down very slowly, from what she understands.
Here you go, Vicki.
Hey, Vicki.
Hi.
Hi, Vicki.
As I told her, I said,
Vicki.
I just wanted, as long as he didn't get hurt, I just wanted to know if he was in the process of breakdancing out there. She started laughing. She said, no.
Thank you.
Or-
Well, that's why you didn't get hurt. You had that big piece of cardboard down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought as long as he didn't get hurt, I could,
Yeah, that's her.
you know, light things up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a question. I want to bring that deal up.
That's what I get.
Talk to Dan about that cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to put that in? New business, or how do you want to handle it? Is that okay with you if I do that?
Yes.
I thought you were going to bring it up when we did the debriefing.
I don't
Let's do that, yeah.
Okay.
The
Talk about-
Is that okay
debriefing
with you?
of
guys?
the
Oh, sure.
museum opening.
I think that
Okay, we can do that. Wherever you want to put that in.
So, okay. So Katie's not back from the
Did
conference.
you say you needed to send in pictures for the?
Katie's here, she's just getting herself some
Are you
caffeine.
putting on my picture thing?
Well,
Anticipating,
Magic elixir for the day.
anticipating the work plan.
Oh,
So we've got
Magic elixir coffee and Cholula hot sauce.
yeah. I didn't
Not
know
all in
because I
that
have a
order.
picture of my great grandparents.
Yeah, it's
I
really.
didn't know.
Take a look at that.
I think it looks like probably
oh,
I just,
sort of.
you know,
yeah, we keep that in mind. I mean, I think
Vasco.
that's
That's still good, but I got to where I could do that Cholula better.
Yeah.
Always go for it.
Yeah, I mean,
community and
Put it on the dish.
whether
Well,
it's safe
Okay.
or
Exactly.
not.
Yeah, we
And when I'm cooking with it, I use
Yeah.
It wasn't
Tabasco,
from Superior or,
How are you? Good, how are you?
especially when
no,
I'm
the guy who
cooking
gave it
chicken.
to us.
Well, I think everybody's here.
Okay.
Who's going to be here, right? Because I know Jill's not available today. So let's call the meeting to order, if you please. And welcome everybody, Happy New Year and everything. And let's see. And thank you for your flexibility in moving the meeting up a week so that we can have the meeting and I'm still around, so to speak. And
That's good too. Still around.
next week we go out to play with the grandkids, and so
All right.
this is great. So I guess I think the sign-in sheet's going around, and again, Happy New Year. Hope everybody had a good holiday season. It was, as usual, it seemed pretty hectic at our house. We have 6 visitors from various places. That's one reason why.
And a lovely potluck to start.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah. So, while that's going around, I'll have Karen send out the minutes, and are there any additions or corrections to the minutes that she sent forth?
Looked good to me.
Okay, then is there a motion to accept the minutes as written?
I so move.
Mary, second? And second, Katie.
All right, let's go back.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye. Okay, minutes are approved. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting?
So we,
Get that down, Karen. Karen has moved to accept the today's agenda. Second?
I second.
Vicki? Okay. And? You have to learn to share.
Yeah. I had no idea whose it was.
All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Okay, so,
Eyes are above the nose, motion carries.
public comment. Does Maureen have anything to say today?
May I speak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for new business, I would like to ask the commission to consider sponsoring the Veterans event this Christmas. Christ the servant cannot do it again this year, so I'm looking for a sponsoring group I can coordinate. Would the commission consider doing it?
Well, I guess we could put it on the agenda, on the other new business. That sound kosher to everybody?
Or Larry, it could be a February item since today's agenda was approved, but that's certainly up to you guys. You can add it next month or talk about it today.
Well, that's an interesting idea, because we approved the agenda, but it didn't.
Oh, yes, you need to make a decision by March. There are several ways it can be done. I could explain that later, perhaps in a global email, but it's just the Louisville Cemetery now.
Perhaps when we talk about this, we could see if the youth group could get involved with helping make the decorations.
That's a good idea. I think I'd just soon talk about it today if it fits on the agenda, okay? I didn't think about the motion making the agenda kind of set. So, but still have some flexibility to add things and go, okay.
Should we pretend there's an other on the
Yeah.
new business? Yeah.
Oops.
Which there should be anyway, probably. There we go.
Yeah, but we'll do it under. In fact, she mentioned new business, didn't she? So, yeah. Sponsor. Well, find out more about it. Okay, so treasurer's reports. I think I'll talk about Bob, Wally and I'll talk about Bob here in a few minutes. So right now, let's get the report, since Bob's not here today.
Yeah, so the historic donations account is, will begin with has a zero balance right now, heading into the year, and then historic preservation account has a $5,000 balance to start the year.
Righto. You want to do that budget recap now, then?
Yeah, so I mean, I sent that email, just, again, you know, we kind of utilize both of those accounts through the end of 2019, and like I said, $84.71 was left over in the donations account, and around $252 was left over in the preservation account, so we did pretty well with that.
Could you repeat those two figures again?
Yeah,
8471 was which account?
In the historic commission donations account,
Okay.
and $252.20 in the historic preservation account,
Which went to zero.
which went to zero, yeah. So don't use it, you lose it type of deal, so.
But what about the historic donations account? Because that, we wouldn't lose that, so
Well, that's
did
actually,
it pay for the help going to the truck?
yeah, that's kind of what we had discussed in the past, where the money going, the donation money going into that account, if it's not spent at the end of the year, you know, just counts as like essentially revenue. Our finance department considers it that. So this was a year, or I think we had worked to where 2018 funds were going to carry over to 19 with the understanding that, you know, heading into 2020, it was going to be at zero again and in the future. So,
Yeah, I remember that. But
so-
that actually had, originally had money actually
Yeah.
firmly put in there
yeah,
by people.
yeah, they're all the donations at the museum and whatnot get deposited into that account. But the majority of that went to the sports table photo project. So,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Just,
And then what was, oh, excuse me, the amount of the truck
Yeah, the fire truck, that was,
repair or
yeah,
maintenance?
yeah, that was roughly $1,800,
Holy cow.
which came out of the preservation account. And that-
1,800?
$1,800, yeah.
Wow.
So that was between our November meeting and, you know, there's those funds sitting in there, so we just utilized that.
Do you mind reviewing what all they did?
Yeah, I think, is that do I have that, or is that on there? Yeah, I can, I was thinking that was a agenda item, maybe it's not.
Oh, okay.
Is it not?
I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like it's not. Yeah, so the fire truck, yeah, so I won't get, I mean, there's a lot of nitty gritty, but
Yeah.
oil change, I mean, I don't know how much you guys want to know, like everything they did, but, you know, a lot of just TLC stuff. Drain and fill the cooling system, coolant, put an electric fan in on that radiator in the front there. Let's see here, replace the gear oil in the gearbox, remove and install siren, disassemble and reassemble motor and clean brushes, new spark plugs, troubleshoot oil leaks. Yeah.
They really,
It's good.
yeah.
But one item,
I guess.
one item that made, so that, I don't know if you guys, some of you guys remember Noah, who was the main, Noah Stevens, who was our contact with Mile High Classics. And he had a note here on with the flasher cans, so those brake lights. The main problem with the lights is that the flasher cans keep going out. I don't know what to do other than to keep replacing them. I replaced and put about 4 to 5 of them in the glove box, so we do have those. I know Wally and Larry, so you guys know that we have those
You
in
mean
there.
the turn signals? Flasher lights?
Maybe it is, yeah, you know what, maybe it's
Probably
not the brake
emergency
lights.
flashers.
Flasher cans,
Cans.
yeah, I don't know. I understood that to be the brake lights, but maybe it is the turn signals.
Could be that, probably, maybe emergency, or the emergency flashers too, probably.
Yeah, I'll have to confirm that. Matt Rarick probably
Yeah.
knows a little bit more of that than I do.
There's a little round deal, I think it's, that's part of that, and there's a socket that fits in.
Yeah.
And they go out, and I think all you do is unplug it and stick a new one in. Probably depends on where they get those from. From what I understand, is some of that stuff comes out of Canada. It's not necessarily really good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear they put that fan on, because that would take care of our
Yeah.
overheating, potential
Yeah, the
overheating.
fan belt, yeah.
Problem in the parades.
Also, an important item he said the engine runs so well, he doesn't see any need to rebuild it.
Oh,
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
And,
Pretty new.
but he said eventually the gearbox may need rebuilt. But engine runs great. So yeah, I mean, if you're interested, if any of you guys are interested, I have no problem sharing the invoice and exactly what they did.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to bog everything down here with everything they did, but
Right.
it was pretty
Pretty
extensive.
thorough, huh?
you know.
Yeah.
So it definitely.
Brian tells me the guys all cheered when they saw the truck come into the garage down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, they were excited. I don't know. They were excited because it's been a couple years and they really enjoyed, the work they did on it.
Sure.
A couple years ago, so.
Did you have to transport it on something? Or did-
Well, we drove, Matt Rarick on our park staff, he drove it down and I followed behind in
Okay.
because the brake lights, I mean, they actually work. They just really,
Really
Yeah.
dim? Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
They're small too, for one thing,
yeah.
compared to modern taillights. Okay, Brian, thank you. Go to the debriefing then. Oh, I was going to mention that Bob Morgan, I talked to Jane last night. It sounds like Wally talked this morning, so I want to give a little quick summary there, Wally, of Bob's.
Well, I talked to her just before we came over here, and she's going over, he's still in the hospital, she's going over this morning to get him. He's going to be released. He had 2 stents put in, and they figure that's what the problem has been, because he hasn't been able to get his legs working, and was lacking oxygen. And they think this will correct all that. And I asked her if he got hurt when he fell down. When he went down, she said no. From the reports she got, he went down very slowly, and he didn't get hurt at all. So they think this is going to correct a bunch of this, and he's really hoping that now with this, he's going to be able to start getting in here more often.
And when I talked to her, she said, what happened was she went, I don't know which store they were at. You, well, hey,
No.
she went in to get prescriptions, and pretty soon a lady tapped her on the shoulder and said, are you Jane? Your husband's out in the parking lot on the pavement, so.
Oh, dear.
So he sent her in to find Jane, so, I don't know why they weren't together. At any rate, that was not a pleasant experience, I guess. But, yeah, the two stents hopefully will get him more oxygen and, as he says, get his legs under him better, so.
That'd be good.
And being that he hadn't, because I asked this first if he'd gotten injured, and she said no, and I said, well,
Yeah.
I said, I just asked him if I wanted to know if he was out there breakdancing, and that's what happened. And, you know, to lighten it up, she started laughing. She said, I'll be sure and tell him that. She said, yeah, that's what he was doing, was breakdancing, Art.
He probably had a donation jar out there.
Yeah. I thought as long as he hadn't got hurt, you know, maybe, you know, put a little levity in it or something so that
Right.
they weren't down.
Good idea. I'd like to propose that if we, I think I'll call, or one of us can call and see if we can offer, maybe one of us could drive over to get Bob and bring him over to Jerry Zankinelli's service, and then somebody else could take him back. So I'd like to propose that if anybody would like to volunteer. Get a little chain going there, because, you know, they were good friends.
Yeah, they were really good friends.
Contemporaries, yeah, so.
When is Jerry's service?
Monday, it seems like it's 11 a.m. at Sacred Heart of Mary, and then reception afterwards. Okay, museum opening on December 7th to January 4th. Well, January is more recent, so I can remember that it went very well. We had a lot of people there.
Yes, we
And
did.
in fact, we had so many people, plus the attempt at filming Danny, that,
Yeah, we'll get into that.
yeah, it was kind of hectic in there a few times. I know we had over 20.
How come, do you think? Where did all the?
I think, well,
Just
we're
break or-
proposing that the separate email blast for the Superior's, the Historical Commission corner,
Yeah.
it seems to be, Twyla says she sees a lot of people commenting about it on Facebook. So,
Yeah, I could, saw posting on Facebook this time and the last time both, so.
my recollection is we had a pretty good turnout in December too, so.
That was the day we were so
Superior-
busy and we had the thing in the sports stable.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah, so we had 2 busy days, the last 2 openings. Vicki, just start saying.
I was just going to say the Superior community page is where you're seeing it, right? That historical being posted, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a good community page.
Yeah.
027.
Yeah, well, the 027 and the community page.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that was good turnouts on those 2 days, and Wally's going to share something with you about what he learned on that day.
Yeah. Danny wanted to go down onto the trail down there by the mine. So Danny and Gene Morgan and myself went down there. And I learned, he started to tell me about there was a cemetery other than the one that's up on the hill, was in that, over in that area at one time. Apparently it was right across McCaslin on the other side, and it was apparently down there in that hollow down in there someplace. And he started to tell me about it, and Jean was with us, and she was kind of ragging him a little bit about, she wanted to film him on some of this stuff, and he eventually got a little disgusted, and he said, that's it, I don't want to discuss this anymore, and he quit. So I don't have a whole lot of details. But there was a cemetery down on the other side over there, and when that filled up, and that was his words, they then started the new one up on top of the hill. And according to him, and this is the only little bit I know about this, when they started digging over here, if you will, or grading for the new town center over here, apparently they hit that spot and they come up with some some bones out of there and some wood that apparently had been, they're guessing, part of the coffins or something in there. And apparently they didn't bother to do anything about it. Just so, you know, I don't have a whole lot of information, and I have no other than that, because he got mad and he clammed up. So I guess I would have a couple of questions. Do we have any idea, was there actually a cemetery in that area? And if there was, how come when they hit the remains in there, that wasn't stopped, at least on that part, and further investigated? So until I get a chance to see him again, and it's just him and me maybe, or at least not the one person that was with us, I can maybe get some more information. But
He kept saying that my brother-in-law told him that, George Leo.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't had a chance to
Yeah.
ask George.
So I think right now it probably is in the folk history department.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to find, that'd be nice though. Have you guys heard anything about that?
Gladys, she had a recognition.
Well, I think,
When they have an opening.
I doubt if there was, my
Let me know when I
opinion
can
is, I doubt if it was a cemetery, more like just a burial ground or something like that.
Wow.
Because the cemetery started in 1872 or 76 or something
Yeah.
like that, so.
So that would have been before that, and probably.
And I don't know what the town was started. When was the town actually?
Yeah, 1896, so.
Yeah, so for it to be there
So
prior
it'd
to
just
the
be for
cemetery.
like local farm families or something
Yeah.
like that, which is kind of what the original one was anyway, because all the burials in the 1870s and 80s before there was a town. Well, yeah, and that was part of the opening, was that Gene wanted to video Danny, and he didn't want to do it, and then we started getting all kinds of visitors, and so it just wasn't convenient. So we're kind of kicked around the idea of having Danny come down during the week or something, and not have the outside interference. But he might be more agreeable to that, but he might not either. So
Well, he had been blindsided on this one. He had no
Yeah.
idea it was coming, and then
Yeah.
there was a camera set up,
yeah.
and it really ticked him off.
Okay, thanks for sharing that, Wally.
Oh, and he also, if I may, he took us, we walked down the trail, went down to the bridge down there, and he had showed me some stuff down there, and he showed me what he said was the first shaft that was sank on the coal mine. And that was on this side of that was on this side of the creek, and they hit a fault or something in there, and then he showed me where it's at, and there's a cement plug in there. So sometime we can go down there and based on that, show everybody where it's at.
Okey-doke. Debrief on the volunteer appreciation dinner. That was pretty good,
It was good.
Very nice.
personally.
I would say nothing but kudos to the people that put it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for Cheryl and me personally, it's, the environment was better because the Brunas Colettis, I can never pronounce that, is so, industrial-like that it's really, it's hard to carry on conversations in it and so forth. So this was a real nice venue and good grub and all that sort of things. And we thank the town and the trustees for treating us. Sports tables photo display. Kate Lasani, what do you think, Katie?
I thought it went good.
Yeah, sure did.
It went good. It was crazy. Thank you for the volunteers. I dragged my husband and kids along, and
Yeah.
once it was set up, I was like, I need to go skate. So it was great that like people filled in. It was great. It was a really crazy, the setup was
Yeah.
not ideal, but it was good that we were there. But it was a little bit, when we first walked in, it was like, where do you want us to sit? It was chaos.
Yeah. Well, so many kids.
But we
running
did it.
around.
We made it work. We made it work. But so it was good to have it there. But the space is just, it was just, yeah.
Yeah.
It was wild. I
Yeah, it
was
was
surprised
just
nothing
really-
fell down.
It was. A lot of people.
Yeah, so that was great. It was just an interesting space.
And so the volunteers are actually more like guards for the,
Absolutely.
things get
absolutely.
knocked down and.
Right.
Yeah, and there that was
Kids were-
there, maybe he was with the chamber or the sports state or the tent. I don't even remember his name, but he was really helpful. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
I don't know who he was with. Maybe he was with the chamber. I don't know. Anyways, it was great. So it went great.
And then
I thought it was great.
Then you hung the
They're hung
photos?
up. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They're all hung up. Have people seen them?
I went
Some
by and
people
looked
have
at
been
the
by?
look, yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I think I used my pictures for the,
Oh, okay. Great.
maybe
Yeah.
I used my pictures for the email blast, the e-newsletter, that's all.
I'll
Yeah.
try to get over.
Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of work.
Oh, it sure was, Katie.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
More than I
Thank
expected. I think the hardest part was that we did those plates, well, communicating with every single sponsor. And Brian was great too, helping with everything. He sent all the invoices, you know, there was like, well, these people haven't paid, but then we're gonna like make them because it's like the deadline. It was an interesting, and then getting all of the plaques done with the right information, and Larry, you helped a lot with that. So we got it all done and it was awesome, so.
Way to go. And what's your next project?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I've been thinking of maybe do something like that, like down at the Safeway store or something. They have historic photos in the Louisville Safeway.
Yeah, they do.
So,
A lot of them.
yeah, so, but we'll let the dust settle on
I
this.
think that's a great idea for you to reach out to them.
Larry, I still have that easel in the trunk of my car.
Oh, okay.
One of the easels you gave me.
Yeah,
Does that go back
The
to the
metal one?
museum?
the metal one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the fancy one.
Yeah, because we use that at the 4th of July.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
Yes, it does,
okay, thank you.
so.
Does that mean she has to have that out of her trunk by the 4th of July?
No, just leave it there.
Or
They know
just
where it
leave
is.
it there.
No.
Are we going to put more pictures together, more photos, or are we done with that? Or
I think we're done, but I mean, I guess we'll see over, you know, this winter and spring if people,
See if somebody is.
want to. I mean, I bet over time people will say, oh, this is neat, can I do it too? But
Yeah.
Well,
we
especially
haven't
through
heard that yet.
through the Chamber of Commerce, there might be other Chamber of Commerce members who
Yeah,
How can
want to
do
get
We
in
might
on
need to
it.
put a sign up or something saying, like, if you're interested in sponsoring a photo, write to the Historical Commission or something.
Right.
yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't know, I'm thinking most people would just look at them and
That's it.
not think about
Yeah.
it, but
Yeah.
That's a good
How
idea.
much did the commission make off of doing that?
Make.
I mean, we discounted it pretty good, but I think each photo, it ended up, the commission got like $20 to $70 maybe, depending on the size. Then we had to pay Louisville, that wasn't much, but it wasn't a lot, you know, it wasn't a lot, but there was some, a little
Yeah.
bit
Yeah, that's
of
good.
profit in there.
I
Not a
forgot about
wash,
that.
but, yeah. So, yeah, it was great.
Something to keep in mind too is depending on how the old Land Rover building progresses and some of the engagement with that, whether that'd be a good spot for, you know, still
Yeah, that'd be
photos,
great.
so.
Mhm.
Just kind of keep
Before
that
and
in mind.
after, like a cool before and after.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're having the public conversation about the building, starting next week or something like that, I think, so, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's the first date. I have to look here. I know there's going to be an online platform coming soon, very soon, so, yeah, there are a couple engagement meetings set in January.
Well, the November roundtable, I don't remember exactly what happened. There was shared information about what was going on in Boulder County Preservation, and in December we had a potluck. So primarily eating on that one, so.
Did you go to both of those?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You ate double there, did you?
Yeah, I had to take stuff too, though.
Oh,
And Fran, I didn't go. You didn't go, did you, Mary?
No, I didn't ever hear anything about it.
No.
So,
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Dan Fram. Christmas potluck, we made it through. Thanks, everybody. Boy,
good
what a
time had
great
by all.
array of chow that was.
It was a lot of good food from everyone.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a very good thank you to Larry and
Yeah, thank
Cheryl
you.
for,
Oh,
To you and Cheryl.
yeah, well, that was.
Thank you for the
Prairie dog.
roast.
Yeah, the road was great.
I got a really chubby one this year.
Twyla, thanks too for helping out with Maureen. That was
Oh,
a
you're
nice thing for you
welcome.
to do. It's good to have her along too. Nothing's going on at number 2. Need some leadership, apparently. That's the leader busy doing something else or something. I don't know.
Actually, there is something going on, because we, remember we took the quilt, and Twyla is going to have her sister, who's a quilter, look at it.
Okay.
But Twyla also had a really good look at it, so go ahead and say what you.
Oh, okay.
what you've
Yeah,
shared.
thanks for bringing that up. Go ahead.
It's quite dilapidated and, I mean, the art quilt, it's like the quilts that you made a purpose for to keep warm, out of old coats and maybe suits, you know, whatever, but, you know, there are big holes with the stuffing all coming out and you just barely touch it and it almost rips, so I'm not sure that it's savable, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I apologize, I forgot about that, and we were looking at it whether or not we should de-accession.
Yeah,
because
I don't know that you could even be mended.
because it didn't come from Superior either, or Louisville, or our area.
Right, yeah, so I'll have her look at it, but I have my doubts just looking at it, that it's a savable item, but I'll let you know.
Okay, thanks for reminding me. Oral history project, I think, is still in development. I know that Jill has been getting some things accomplished in that area.
Did she get some farm pictures? Does anyone know?
She got a couple from me.
Did she? Oh, good.
Okay, good.
I went back through and pointed out some in our collection that could count. We just, since this was so mining oriented, we just don't have much in the way of agriculture subjects, so that's been the problem. So I pointed out some that you could stretch it and it would fit, and then some from your heritage, shall we say?
There's a couple, yeah.
Good. Karen, any correspondence?
Okay, since the November meeting, we have sent a card to Jim Cole. That's on Estella Cole's passing.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to get a card to somebody on Jerry. Do you have a name and address? Or who do we send it to?
What about this? What if we put a card and just take it to the service and leave it in the cards?
Okay,
You know how
yeah,
usually at a funeral service, there's a place to put
yeah,
sympathy cards.
okay.
And that way, because I guess it would be his nephew. And I don't know any contact. Jane knows the contact information because they keep in touch with him. With her.
Yeah, okay, I'll try
With
calling.
them. There we go.
We'll talk to her again.
Yeah. But otherwise, I'll be going on Monday to the service. I can drop it off.
Okay, let me see what I can,
Yeah.
we'll get something by Monday.
Okay.
And that's all. Are there any thank you notes that need to go out to anyone?
I think it'd be nice to send one to the chamber with the sports stable project that we did. They really, we didn't do that already, right? No. We sent one to the printer, the printing guy. They, without the chamber being involved in this, we'd have the town, done one and us. So it was really incredible, their partnership.
Yeah.
So just the partnership that they took on with us, and that made all the difference. And they packaged all of them it was great. Sent it out. We didn't have to do a separate mailing. They just handled the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So just a thank you for their partnership and involvement in it.
Good idea. Anybody think of anything else? Cemetery restoration project, Brian?
Yeah, so you guys received all those photos I sent. I mean, it's a little bit hard to tell from the pictures. You almost have to go up there on site to see it, but the perimeter trail is complete. If you go up there, it is pretty soft right now. Once there's additional precipitation, that'll become more like hard packed, but yeah, you notice we did go with like the more brownish tone as opposed to gray. I think that looks a little bit better, but so that was all completed. Our contractor actually was working out there this week with the kind of decided on the actual paver for the interior gathering space. So I haven't been up there yet, but I know his crew's been out there this week to do that. You know, right when you walk in, that kind of semicircle interior gathering space. So we'll send some pictures out as soon as that's done. Additional, the 2 stone block benches will be a part of that. And then the interpretive signage will probably bring the working group back into, and I don't know if Alan would be interested as well. I know she's working on the Ormond Roche trailhead sign, but to do a couple interpretive signs up there, 2 or 3. And then depending on where the budget's at after that, we could, I know there was future trails, so you got the perimeter one, and then there was a couple that would kind of connect them inside of that, so that's a possibility as well. So yeah, it's moving along well, and I'll certainly send any pictures when I get them.
Is there going to be any kind of a better way to get from sports stable parking lot area up to the cemetery?
I mean, eventually, right? But but now they are. The developer there is an actual path to get up there. I mean, but I understand. I mean, it is a little bit intimidating. I mean, if you're not familiar with the area, but that paved, I don't know the street name on the south side there, but there is an access to head east up there, and then in between that black kind of tar paper fencing, there's a cutout to then go to access the cemetery. But it is a little rough. I mean, you probably want all-wheel drive.
Yeah, so the good access won't happen until the street cut into that area.
Not at that point yet, but
we should look.
Yeah, I was up there a couple months ago, and it's easy to get up to. Really.
Yeah.
You know, some people are kind of intimidated by it, especially if you walk straight up the side of the hill.
Yeah, you could curve around a little bit.
That's one option. Yeah, obviously the parking lot, and then walking up the slope and around, or driving.
Maybe something to think about would just be to do even a temporary trail, just to make it less daunting or something like that. But we'll just take it a step at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Vicky's name got on this. Were you on the Ormond Roche?
I don't think I was.
I think that's supposed to be Lindsay, and not.
Okay. I put your name in there in error.
I'm like, what am I doing? I didn't do it.
You have a deadline, Vicky.
Okay, so it's Lindsay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Lindsay and Alan has produced some text and photographs, and Lindsay says hers text will be ready soon. So
one of them was doing Miss Ormond, and one was doing Josephine Roche.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Katie's been providing more materials and photographs. Huh?
Opinions.
Opinions. I didn't know you had any of those.
Larry, she had a question about trails.
Okay.
Well, Larry, I had a question about the Ormond Roche Trail. I looked at the new website yesterday and all the trail maps, and I didn't see this trail listed. Is it a part of one of the larger systems?
Ormond Roche is going to be the name of the trailhead, and it's going to access 2 existing trails. And Brian and Laura, that'd be Mayhofer?
Meadowlark.
Meadowlark.
Yeah, it's just the trail maps haven't been updated yet, but I mean, they will what that new trailhead
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, so Paul, it's so new that it's not, it's just in the process of getting updated. It's called the Wildflower? No, I have more trouble with that.
Oh, yes, that's
name of
what
the
the
trail?
website said. I looked around and the only info was the commission was deciding on the next steps. That sounded like where we were in November, not where we are now. Yeah.
Meadowlark, is that it?
Meadowlark's the one that goes from original town south to the Colton Trailhead. Mayhopper goes west. So, yeah. So
Oh, yes, but I would be interested to know where it was. I'd never heard of it. Is it a part of the industrial mine trail we take when we do that walking?
It's right off of McCaslin. It's brand new, and it's off McCaslin. About half a mile, three-fourths of a mile from here, on top of the hill.
I
Yeah.
see.
So what it does is it gives the access to this Meadowlark Trail without going, starting down in Original Superior. I don't know how much you'll be able to ride. Get in there.
Oh, I see.
Just remember Meadowlark Lemon.
Well, there are so many large trail systems. I thought it might be a subsystem to one of the bigger ones,
Yeah.
like Cold Creek.
Well,
and
everything up there connects to the Cold Creek.
Yeah, they all, they can come downhill and go east or west on Cold Creek. And,
Yeah.
My daughter was up there when she was here for Christmas.
Uh-huh.
She went to the trailhead and she thought it was just beautiful.
Oh, it is. The view from up there is spectacular, yeah. It's just, so that's the story. It's just still so new, there's not a sign on it yet.
Yeah.
Big sign, and then the interpretive signs are in process, yeah.
Did they decide on how they were going to do the signage, like one woman here and one woman here, wasn't it? Or- and then-
So we didn't make a decision on that. We
Nothing yet,
basically
okay.
just said this will be the name of the
Okay.
trailhead. And that was kind of what I had in my mind is, kind of two things, because otherwise I think a lot of people might think, oh, they must be related somehow, like
Yeah.
Herman and Roche, you named them the
Yeah.
same. Whereas my preference would be to have either two signs or two sides of a sign, so it's just saying, here's two women we'd like to honor.
And then industrial mine
Yes, very
information,
comfortable.
is that going to be out there too?
That's up to this committee to decide.
That's part of the idea, to have especially the photograph
I think,
for Josephine
yeah.
Roche, so
To
we
me,
can
I
see.
think that's important too.
Yeah. And that's what Katie had in her photo collection, was some photos that,
Yeah, I said this is really our biggest opportunity for people to see when they say, where was the mine?
Right, right.
To be able to, you're looking right at it. So-
and I think my preference is to have both people on the same sign, but that's also going to depend on Melissa when she puts it together,
Or separate them enough
but have them close together.
to have them together, and then one industrial maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think we're thinking of having the industrial information on the Roche side.
Oh.
Since she was the
And that
president.
would make sense,
Yeah.
yeah.
Since she's the president
Oh,
of the
right,
company.
the owner, okay.
Yeah. And so, we're hoping, go up and check it out, if the view, one of those photographs might have a view that's similar to what you can see from the trailhead. Okay, so, yeah, so it's in the works, and again, when Lindsay and Alan get finished, then Melissa Miller, the staff, massages all of the photos and text into the sign configuration and see what we come up with. So the first thing is going to be, I imagine, will be the big sign with that brown, looks like, kind of like wood background, and will say Orman Roche Trailhead, I'm guessing. How am I doing over there?
Yeah. Sounds about right. I know the Orman Roche information has like a mid-January deadline to her, and you know that, so.
I'm thinking more of the big sign, like
Big
one that says
sign, yeah.
Autry
I
Park.
don't know
or
if that's already been
Colton.
ordered, or I imagine by springtime, both of them, everything will be up there.
Because right now, people don't know exactly what that is, so. Okay, we're in process on that, that's good. So Camps Bus Shelter Project, Katie?
I don't have an update on it, except that, you know, there was an email sent out recently that they were looking for a call for artists. But I haven't been in contact with them since the November meeting.
It also
So I'm
came
sure-
up in the Daily Camera today, I think.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah, there was an
Okay,
article in there
okay.
today on that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm sure we'll be in touch with them as they're getting artists to,
I imagine the camera picked it up off the town website.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So
So-
no update right now.
Yeah, so the way that it was talking is the artistic interpretation of historic
Mhm.
themes or something like that, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I think in November, wait, I wasn't here at the November meeting, or was it the October meeting? October meeting.
Mhm.
You know, we had chosen with CAPS kind of the top 4 or 5 subjects, and I think I included that with the group, someone maybe talked about it.
Okay.
But, you know, the school, the mine, there was like 4 or 5 things that we had established with them.
Topics, kind of
to
thing.
kind of be the subjects of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okey
Are
doke.
you putting pictures? Are they looking at putting pictures in there, historic pictures? No?
I think their thought is more art, but then I said maybe you can do a few little photos that go with, I mean, if it really is a scene of the mine, then we would do like a little inset of a photo, but mostly not.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't really know what their vision is.
Okay.
And the only other old business I can think of is that I just followed up with Jim Listoka on his presentation, so we're set for, what's our date, Brian? April 17th, I
Oh,
think?
sorry, yeah.
No, I didn't mean to surprise you there, but
Yeah.
because I think the other Thursday, it wasn't, the room here wasn't available.
Wasn't it the 16th, the day
16th,
before, the day
yeah.
before the
I believe that is correct.
meeting?
Yeah.
April meeting?
And I think we have our monthly meeting right the day after too, unfortunately, but,
We've done that before,
yep, we're
more
tough.
than one.
We can do it, huh? Yeah, so I think it's the 16th, huh? And, any other old business? I'm not rushing to be rushing too much, but we are going to do the 2020 work plan, so that's why I'm kind of hustling here. So, any other old business? Okay. Yeah, it looks like 16th. Okay, new business. Brian, should we go through the other stuff and leave the 2020 to the last?
I would do it first.
Let's do this first while we have everyone and
Okay.
energy level's still there, right? Because I know everyone loves this work plan update this time of year. But I'll put it, Larry, why don't you pass out the hard copies and then I'll pull it up here and then I can just make any edits.
Oh, yeah.
I'm experienced in handing out stuff. The old teaching days. Oops, sorry. It's always like as they say, take one and pass it along. And they're always supposed to take one and pass them along.
Or roll it and smoke it, whichever comes first.
That just goes on in the parking lot, so.
I need one.
We got a couple more? Oh, there we got one?
You don't need, do you need a
I'll be
paper
good.
copy?
No, thanks. So we'll just kind of go through each quarter and then to make any revisions, and then a draft of this will then go to the town board, probably at a February meeting, early February or whatnot, and then they'll approve it as a final. So
Okay.
if there's anything, I don't know, it probably makes sense to go by quarter, but
Is this 2020?
this is the 2019 one, so typically, the majority of it carries over, but if there's anything to delete or revise or add, now's kind of the time to do that.
So 11 we can just take out, right? That's the working group for the
Then-
cemetery, or not take it out, but reword,
Oh, yeah. so
continue
reword, yeah.
something,
Uh, So,
Continue the working group? Or-
yeah.
Well, should we go through sequentially though? I think?
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. The 1, 2, and 3 look like they'd stay the same, wouldn't they?
Yeah, most of these, for those of you guys that are, yeah, most of these
4.
stay the same, carry
1
over.
through
There's a
4.
date in 3, didn't they?
Yeah, change that date, huh? I guess we could revise 5 to include our new electronic newsletter, e-newsletter. Yes or no? Guess maybe it's okay the way it is. Pros. Parks and Recreation.
I can change this, but like dedicated commission newsletter, that's kind of what it is, I guess.
Okay.
Are they doing rooftop drops anymore? I'm on number 5.
Yep, they are. Yeah, they just did one, I think it was, or there's one coming up, I think.
It's true, isn't it, that they don't do the whole town at each drop, it's just a
Right.
section?
That's right, they do a quarter of the town each quarter, so everybody gets it once a year.
Yeah, that's about why I haven't seen it lately. 7? Leave that one, I guess. 8? Leave that. 9? Change the date.
Do we actually
Yeah.
plan how the museum is laid out?
I think that was the idea that we would.
I mean, I think that
did.
probably came from me, that
I think so.
I just think it's important to look at the space there and see what else but it's okay now. I think it's nice that we have that nice new shot, so maybe we're okay.
Well, yeah, but I think part of your idea though was too that we would try to rotate exhibits
Yeah.
throughout the year, and that's the quarterly thing. Yeah. I think,
I think it's, I mean, if you want to say and evaluate museum layout or something instead of, I don't know, it's the same thing.
because we're really doing what effective layout, I think, is the idea. How did you make the displays effective, most effective, right?
The one, going back to number 3, I just wonder if we should make it a little bit more of an action item, like this is always on the agenda, and, since Alan is, I mean, are we really working on it? And I'm not saying it's okay if I'm not working on it too, but is there something we should change that we really are either gonna have someone be in charge of this or not, or, I just don't like when things are on the agenda forever and and mostly it's like, is it important enough that we really are still gonna do this once a month, right? That's how it was before, that you guys were trying to do that once a month, or, so my thought would be maybe reevaluate, like, who's gonna be doing it?
I would be willing to, once I learn it, but the problem is we haven't set up a time for me to go and learn more. But I would be willing to, head it up and take care of it monthly.
Yeah, I had talked about it one time too.
But the problem, so where
So
we're at.
maybe you guys we could change the wording to just say, reevaluate cataloging and filing, responsibilities, or I don't, something, and then.
Is it enough for 2 people to do and bounce off each other, or just one person, or, I don't know.
I've never.
Well, the way I've done it in the past, I was working with you and Alan
And Gail.
and Gail,
Yeah.
And there was 3 of us there.
And then Mary too.
And Mary,
And-
So I think it's at least for a 2-person job.
Yeah.
From what I remember, but we just need to learn the system, the computer system.
Usually what happens is, someone entering and other people are feeding information and
Yeah.
descriptions and things.
Well, and I think the bigger thought is what, obviously it's important that these things are inventoried or cataloged, but also the people that are working on these things, if we're seeing things that are really interesting, that we need to be bringing up to the museum, it's also like
A
we're
rotation.
analyzing
Yeah.
what we have.
And rotating it.
And then going through, what are the things that have been sitting on the shelf that, like you guys are talking about, the quilt, like things that it's like, we don't want it anymore. So maybe like a bigger plan of what's the plan for all that stuff,
Well, let's make a decision then. You want to revise that and just say, do a reevaluation and prioritizing of the process? I think about the process, aren't we?
Yeah.
Maureen has a question about that. Go ahead.
Well, Larry, concerning the cataloging project, do you still do it over at the museum at Asty Park in the basement?
Yes.
Is that where it's located? Then I'd like to suggest you look for a more comfortable workspace. Would the town have a cubicle here at Town Hall or Brian's location over on Rock Creek Drive? If it were more comfortable, maybe you could get volunteers to work it. The museum is awfully isolated over there on Maple Street.
Well, we, first of all, that's where the computer is, where all the materials are. So it's just a case of taking them off the shelf and then talking about them. So
Yeah, the items, everything's there.
I don't think it's,
I don't feel it's uncomfortable. It's
No, me
just a
neither.
process of scheduling it,
I thought it was
doing it
nice
every
down there.
month on the calendar and not letting it go by
Right.
the wayside. I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, I felt kind of confused about the whole thing, so like, I wasn't sure what was,
Yeah.
about which whole thing?
yeah,
Twilight?
well, the cataloging, and I've seen that, but I didn't know, I didn't have, and to organize a museum a little bit more, to me, yeah.
Well,
It's, a process.
I don't know, how are we doing on number 3? We have it revised?
And maybe you could just, instead of explore opportunities, work with an intern volunteer, you could say explore the opportunities to,
Yes, well, you might get more volunteers. It would also be easier to access if people wanted to be.
I don't know. I mean, I think first we need to get a process, and
Yeah.
then we need to decide if we need volunteers.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right now,
I
I
feel
explore
there's-
opportunities for someone to take the lead on it. That's not the right word, but, and maybe you don't need to actually put that in there, but I do think part of it is who on this commission is going to take the lead on it.
Yeah.
Or is it important enough that someone is, right? So I think just reevaluating it.
So we had one
Probably
time a regular Friday,
Yeah.
once a month, like we do this,
Oh, is that,
like, so it's like the first or second Friday, and then we, Alan got some other thing to occupy herself with on Fridays, so we changed it to Tuesday, and then it's just kind
Another
of,
point. Good
I
Figure
would
it out,
do
so.
two things. I would take the lead and I could do a designated Friday a month easily, as long as I had it in my schedule. So, but that's something we can look at a meeting. I think that's what
and we
we're.
did.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, really, having just that
I
one
think that's
sentence is
fine.
fine, and doing
Yeah.
all this, and
Yep.
you're not held to all this.
Yes.
and you can-
I think that's great.
The volunteer or intern was my idea, because I've seen this happen like at Lafayette and Louisville, where they've had somebody that actually got paid through a grant or whatever to go
Yeah.
through in a semi-professional way. you know.
But I think Vicki's right, you have to have we have to have a plan in place first. So if you
Yeah.
want to say something like explore opportunities for, you still could,
Yeah,
I don't-
explore opportunity for potential volunteer interns.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But in the meantime,
I haven't noticed.
this crew here is going to take care of it.
Well, because I just, in my mind, I'm not sure the time involved or the detail of what really, other than a little bit I saw a few years ago. I just need to relearn and understand.
Yeah.
I think both Gail and Alan are very detail-oriented, and so a lot of times we might spend, let's say, an hour doing something, maybe you only get 2 or 3 things cataloged, so it might be a way to go
I'm
faster.
detail-oriented, but.
Yeah, the detail is
I
good.
like speed.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Well, they concerning volunteers to do the work. Would it be possible to bring in a student intern, say a high school student? Usually the honors students are good at this type of thing. Could we develop an intern program with a history teacher at Mona?
Well, we have the, oh, go ahead. It's like you got an
Or
answer.
library science?
Well, my answer is that you're thinking that, but we need a process first.
Right.
That's,
Yeah, which we'll look at an
But her idea-
on our, we'll put it on an agenda to do, right? going
Yeah,
forward
yeah,
with
that's
this.
a good way to put it, because we need to go through
Yeah.
through this thing in the meantime, yeah. But Maureen's idea is to get a sharp student to do it or something like that, but
Right.
that would still necessitate commission people being there to,
Yeah, you still need someone to know the process and be able to train and teach forward.
what in the world is that?
Anyway.
Safe Light Auto class. Okay, we have number 3 the way we want it, folks?
Well, Larry, we need to talk to the teachers now for the 2020-2021 school year. The lesson plans are already in place.
We'll take that
Yes,
into
but it would
consideration.
be
yeah.
something going forward in the fall. I know how far out you teachers must plan your curriculum. This year's curriculum is in place. Yeah. Upcoming academic year.
Thanks for the input to Maureen. So I think then we're down to number 10,
Guess that's still in process, right?
still in process.
Working group, okay, 11 is the one.
Number 11 needs to be revised, I guess.
Yeah, and we don't have, yeah, I can revise that, we don't necessarily, unless you have I can update that with the current.
Just continued, would you just say continued?
Continue, yeah.
And then number 12, that one needs someone to take the lead on it too, because I started it some years ago and haven't followed through on it. Well, it was long enough ago, it still did not progress because of the flood damage repair from Boulder County. So, should we keep it on?
I think so, I mean, it's important enough, isn't
Yeah,
it, right?
I
We-
think so. Hey, there's one we can take off, everybody, number 13. So that one is,
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, because there are going to be additional amenities at that trailhead, so whether you guys would be, your input would be
Just
part
say
of that.
continue to.
Yeah.
but now we can change Shan Shan to
Yeah.
Orm and Roche, I guess, huh? So,
Continue to work with OSAC on the,
Yeah,
Orm and Roche Trailhead.
future amenities, I think, yeah.
and I don't know, should we put the bus shelter, I have no timeline on that at all, but should we put that in as a work, in our work plan, just so the town knows we're working?
That's a good idea. Yeah, we'll coordinate with CAPS, I guess, in this
Yeah.
case, huh?
Yeah.
This is the final, but.
I'm gonna spell checklist.
The bus shelter one?
Yeah,
first
maybe
quarter?
just could
First
coordinate with, yeah, probably still first quarter. I mean, I don't know, they're working on it, so I
Yeah.
guess coordinate with CAPS on bus shelter project or implementation or whatever.
contacted?
They have my info, yeah.
Create that up a little bit.
Okay, I'm looking ahead, so where are we now?
Second quarter?
Okay. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 are still good.
The walking tour, I mean, do we need to include the cemetery in this walking tour this year?
I don't know how we do that.
It's pretty far walk.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Because it was never before, it was the other event that was there.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was
okay.
the
Okay,
Tombstone Tour.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meet your tombstone. No, not yet. But, you think we can get in the cemetery in 2020?
I mean, I think it should be on here somewhere to try and, but not in the second quarter, to maybe have an event or something.
Well,
That's more third quarter.
Yeah.
yeah, but that's planned earlier though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we used to do it in
Yeah.
October, and we decided we'd back it up to August, and then we didn't do it anymore after that, because that's when the cemetery got torn out of that.
Yeah.
Very
Third
good
quarter,
turnout.
item 5 says to host it if conditions allow.
There we go, yeah.
That's probably going to stay.
Where is that one, Mary?
Third
Third
quarter.
quarter, number 5.
Okay, got it.
But we probably do need to put it in the second quarter if we really are gonna start thinking about it,
I think
right?
so, yeah, because,
Well, I guess no.
well, because second quarter, if we do it in August or September, it would be, you have to plan it, that'd be third quarter, you need to plan it before then, huh? Well, let's go on and see where it fits. You want to continue to work on the fire truck project, Wally, number 4?
On which quarter?
Second? The fire truck photo shoot.
I guess we can do that if we can reach a time in which we can get it, get everybody together.
Yeah, it needs a lead person on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So last, we had number 5, we supposedly, did we do this?
Budget?
But did we make budget recommendations back then?
Yep.
Good for us. We'll make that 2021 then.
One thing that it says revisit the long-term planning list, Lindsay was so great about creating this long-term planning
yeah,
list.
right.
And if we don't look at it until April, I just wonder if we should revisit the long-term planning list, like in February, put it in,
First quarter.
yeah, put it into the first quarter, so that at least in February or March, we're looking at it.
Which number is it?
That's okay. with
Well, it's
me.
number 5 on the second. So obviously that part is good, but the revisit the long-term planning list.
Kind of separate those, huh?
Yeah,
Do the revisit in the first quarter?
I think so.
That's okay.
I don't know.
We have to get that list from
I think I have it.
Lindsay. I
Or Mary.
don't know if we have the most up-to-date one or not, but yeah, let's do that. Okay. 6, we can continue. 7, continue. 8. Guess we keep 8 in.
I do think probably 8 could be one thing I had written down when we were talking about the budget earlier, is I think we really do need to come up with a plan for what we're doing with donations in the second quarter, so that if we have extra donations in the 3rd and the 4th, that we have a plan that even on like December 30th, we can say, or, before then, but we want to use this money for something. So if we need to make a list of things that we could put plaques on, or I think it's probably important to be a little bit more intentional about spending the money that we're getting.
Yeah, so that it actually gets spent.
Yeah, so I think maybe 8 defines it, refine the process for, we know what the process is for accepting it, right? So it's not like we're refining the process for accepting it, but refine the process for using it.
Yeah.
And that's actually different than the donated items. No, those are kind of two very separate things.
Yeah, I think they are too, yeah.
And I don't know if it's like come up with a plan for donations account.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or even an overall cleaning of the interior of the museum at the end of the year. Deep dusting and, you know, sweeping, something like that,
Yeah.
right? Using the money to help maintain the actual museum. Because it does get, you know, obviously it does.
Well, one thing I'm thinking is that maybe you could use that monetary donations to pay for those signs we keep threatening to make at Grasso Park.
But wouldn't that come out of would that come out of the preservation
Yeah, probably so.
account?
Yeah, I guess.
I think partially what you're saying is just to be mindful of what's left by the end of the, November, so we know what we have and what we, I mean, I haven't been paying attention to what's left.
And I think if maybe just coming up with if someone gives more than like $100 or whatever the number is, then we need to honor that person somehow without it going away. I don't know what, if it's like $10 for a book or, that's not, but like, just, yeah, being more mindful of the money and what we're doing with it. Because I think in the fourth quarter or in the January meeting in 2021, when we say, that money's gone and the town took it from us. It's like we need to come up with a plan now for what we do with it. Worked out great this year.
Kind of what you're thinking there.
So what do you think about what Brian put up there then?
Something like that? Or?
I think that's great. Yes.
By year end or something.
Or by year end, right?
Yeah.
Like it,
Establishment.
well, the process you'd want to establish.
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we're at 9 on the second quarter. All right. 9 and 10. I need to pay more attention to that. 11. I don't think we did that last year, did we? Determine the need for the building survey update. So let's try it again this year.
Yeah,
Well, and I
look at that because some of those buildings, I'm not even sure they exist
Yeah, some of them
anymore.
have been torn down.
A couple of things have been scraped off, I think.
Yep.
And I
Right.
don't,
I'm not sure about from our list, but
I think so, though.
yeah.
and I think changing
I know so.
determine the need, like, don't we definitely need to do that?
So where are we? Number 11?
Because haven't we talked in the past too about the fact that the schoolhouse isn't anywhere on our list of important buildings to us, right? Wasn't it just residential or something that was on that? Wasn't it something like that? Like,
Is that right? It was only residential.
Yeah, it was just residential. We didn't do the schoolhouse.
Well, then why don't we just change it to update the historic building survey?
yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine the way it is.
Yeah. But it take away to determine the need,
Yeah.
because we know there's the need for it.
Yeah, true.
And then when we do that, like really present that to the town, right? I mean, that's an important new document for them.
Number 12, informational.
I just updated that with the new trailhead name up there.
This was actually saying have a brochure in place, huh?
I think that'd be great still, right? You just change them. We have our brochure now, so that's easy. So we don't need to create it.
13 we can keep. 14 we can keep. Anything else to go in the second quarter? Third quarter, keep number 1. Okay, number 2 we didn't do. The idea of having a winter program.
Because the town has the focus at the sports stable now instead of the museum. That's the part. So do we want to keep that, or do we want to just figure that the town's going to keep on at
I
the
can't remember
sports stable?
exactly how that got in here, because I think the idea maybe from Katie was to have
Probably.
a second program in the winter time.
We can
And-
remove it.
Which one?
Or was that connected with that thing in the park?
I think it meant a winter program, like an actual, another speaker.
That's what I thought
But
too.
if no one,
But at the
you know,
museum?
no, not at the museum.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess that's
No,
confusing,
no.
right?
Yeah,
that's the part that's confusing.
yeah. A winter historic history
And
program.
I mean, I guess the question is, do we want to explore a second program? And I think the reason why that, I probably put that in there is because Louisville, they have lots of programs, right? People keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
The more things you have, it's good, but then that takes work too,
Yeah, they
right?
got-
So maybe we could say explore it, or you guys can remove it, whatever you,
Well,
it's not like we couldn't do it if it's.
explore the feasibility of it.
Yeah, that's good.
Because, Louisville and Lafayette both have hired people, salaried people who are working
Right.
on it too. It
Yeah.
always makes a difference. Did you get that, Brenda?
And maybe just don't say at the museum, because that is confusing. It's just,
And then, where am I? Yeah, 13 and 14. 13, okay. Number 3, then host field trips, that stays. I think number 4 kind of goes along with what Maureen was saying about
Maureen was saying, yeah.
student history project help. Keep it if we want to. 6, we can change that to 2020. I think they actually did that.
did what? What each one are you on?
6, I'm sorry, 6, 7.
Does that happen? Is
Yeah,
that-
I have no update on that, I'll be honest. I don't.
So you do
Because
have,
there was
I do
gonna be a
not.
park, there's gonna be a park there?
well, there was some talk about it a few years ago. But I don't know where, do you have any update on that, Brian? It was back when Patrick was the liaison, maybe his Parks and Rec chair at that time, whatever his name. This is-
Rita Dozell's the one that was talking about that.
Well, this is that, I do remember that it seemed like it was Boulder County and the town of Superior were going to work together on a park over there where the Hake Homestead was. And as far as I know, nothing's ever happened. So,
Where exactly is that?
Right in where the barn was.
yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, there,
thank
yeah.
you.
That's a
Or in
better,
that
that's a
general
better
area.
Oh, all
explanation,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
So we probably, if the topic ever comes up, we can provide input on it. And I guess the same for 8 and 9. Oh yeah, and then here's 4th quarter, it says host a winter program.
We can just take that off, I think, right? I mean, if we're not sure yet.
It's not a real convenient time of the year with
Yeah.
all the other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't have to be December either. It could be.
Depending upon what happens with third quarter number 2,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's.
one
fine.
maybe should be taken out of there.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're going to explore it for the time being, huh?
Yeah.
So in the 4th quarter, we should probably add something about the donation, spending
review.
Reuse the words from up top, but yeah, review.
Review the historic donations account, any possible expenditures. or
Yeah.
something
Possible use of the
Yeah.
funds.
like that. Yeah. We may not have much in that next year.
Question on that, that when people drop a $5 bill in the museum, that kind of thing, where does that money go? Does that go to the historic preservation account? Or does that?
Donations. I guess that's always gone to the old fire truck, but the donations account.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'd probably have some money, but it would probably be less than $100 over
It
the
looks
year,
that way, yeah.
probably, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Larry, what happened with your miners memorial in the park? What, you took it off the agenda and I
Oh,
wasn't
that's
sure
just
what
because
happened.
it's just in the idea stage, and so
Oh, okay.
I was just trying to clean up the agenda, make it a little more efficient, so.
Okay.
You
I
want that
haven't
as a
forgotten
work
about it.
plan?
Oh, okay.
You don't want that as a work plan item, though?
Oh, that makes it on the work plan, huh? But maybe even the first quarter, I guess. Explore a memorial to miners who lost their lives in the local coal mine.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I think that's a good one.
Should we put in here somewhere about, like, continue to coordinate with CAPS and OSAC on new, whatever their is.
Do what?
The new town center, that's what it is. Like, continue to work with them on it, but I don't know when that, like, is all getting developed, but.
So it's being built this year, but nothing will really open until middle of 2021.
Okay, so maybe in the fourth, I think it's just important on our work plan to show that we like are working with OSAC and CAPS on all these new projects, but I don't know what those projects are.
Well, it might,
Future projects.
it might come along, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's good that we have this interaction between OSAC and PROSAC and CAPS. How's that for alphabet soup?
Impressive.
Larry, I didn't want to get too worried about how does 15 sound there. I don't know. I can change it, but I want to.
I think that's fine.
Something like that.
Yeah. You want to put Katie's idea there about continue to work cooperatively with other town commissions and committees? Boards, or whatever you want to call them?
Yeah, I mean,
You
first
could just say in future projects on it.
Okay.
Oh.
on first quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, or number 12, you could just add, as well as work alongside other commission projects, other.
Yeah, you could just extend that one to include other.
As well, or
Or
Commissions.
13. Put it on 13?
12 working.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and future projects.
Yeah.
Future projects with other commissions. I thought it was good to have that fact we're cooperating with, interlocking with other commissions too. Yeah.
I know this is more like long-term planning ideas, but I feel like I bring this up every time we talk about these. I just think it'd be so cool to have an event in Grasso Park, maybe with the chamber, with music. I just think it'd be so cool to do that. And, I think when we originally talked about it, we talked about that it's also part of like the Tombstone tour, but then you're like walking, and I don't know how that would.
The chamber, the chamber did an event last summer, down there at the Chamber Hall, you know, and I think, and it turned out great, and I think it would be
That
even
was the
better.
art
if it-
thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
What?
A new art piece or something like that?
No, it was just an after
Networking.
hours, a networking thing, but I think it would be great to include the park and the committee, you know, the historics in that same event. Because TJ talked about doing it again next summer.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think it would be,
It's just so pretty and,
yeah.
I just think we need to get more Superior people down to Grasso Park. I just don't think very many people see it. So I don't know if we like actually put that in here, if we put that in the long-term planning.
Well, I think we could put it in as explore that possibility.
Yeah, because I think.
Summer or fall would be really, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a large turnout for it, and I think putting the chamber, titling it or having it as the Historic Commission hosting it would make it even better. So I think it's a good idea. So yeah, we put it in our plan.
Are you still?
Well, I didn't, the second part didn't.
Should have been like talking.
What happened to you?
And unpack with my typing there. It's terrible.
Take it easy on our liaison here.
Yeah.
I thought he was writing all the things I was saying. I was still on number 13.
Yeah, you have to repeat.
How does that make you feel?
I have to repeat all that that I just said?
To a succinct,
I don't know where we would
I know.
put, maybe would we put that in the second quarter or something? I don't know.
Probably second quarter, where is that?
Yeah, because we're getting a large.
Like April,
May,
yeah.
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 Oh, just- we'll
Well, I
wait.
think that's a great idea. It needs a lead person.
okay, so where are we at, Katie?
Well, I work with the chamber a
Second,
lot.
third.
Yeah, and I think we just need to be very aware of adding these things to the agenda,
Uh-huh.
right? Like,
So that they're in front.
yes.
Yeah.
So we don't forget it.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
don't know how we do that. So, explore,
On second quarter?
yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
just, possibility of, event at Grasso Park with chamber, we could say,
Yeah,
right?
with chamber. I mean,
Chamber,
that'll.
or something
spur
like
us
that.
Memory it up. I think.
Yeah. Event doesn't
Other
sound
than-
very, but it's not really like a festival.
Have a bluegrass band or something.
Yeah, I mean, I totally could picture
Yeah,
that,
fun-
like chairs sitting down there.
Well,
Wouldn't
and
that
at
be
this,
so cool?
yeah, totally. And at that event I'm talking about, they didn't have a band, but they had music. So I think it would be great.
Yeah, I think so cool.
So, yeah, explore possibility of Grasso Park event involving or including chamber somehow.
Off the record and to totally distract. Of course, if the weather gets bad, we can always use the barn.
Oh, yeah, go to the barn.
Oh,
If we clean it up, we gotta then put, yeah.
see if anybody comes out alive.
We'd probably also want to work with CAPS in that. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you could use the barn. The second graders were pretty, I know, they were pretty adamant about how smelly it was, these little second graders.
Really?
It stinks
I
in
think
here.
the smell is gone.
No, it's the mice and the
Oh,
new
yeah.
smell.
It's not
The new smell.
not the smell of hay and that sort of thing.
Need some fresh hay in there.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's-
Skunks
do
and
that.
mice.
And there's actually a fairly big back room that just sort of sits there, unless it's full of.
Put a metal buffer or something.
Anyway.
A little tiny bit of muffins.
Yeah, about that big around.
Okay, are we finished?
Good stuff. Thank you.
Have we done it?
I think so.
So, all right. Good job, you guys. And I think it's a good idea there too to bring some of these in off of this and put them on the agenda so we don't forget about them because it's our tendency, which is just human.
Good job, Brian.
Yeah, good job to you guys.
Okay. Well, we're going to be open February 1st, so we look seeking folks to come and staff the museum. Anybody know if they aren't going to be available on the 1st? I'll just do that by email as we get closer to it then. We'll participate in any future ANFRAN meetings if they're convenient, and
I
we'll
got
get the
on their
information about
website
it.
the other day, and it hasn't been updated yet. There's still, says 2018 and 2019,
Oh, boy, yeah.
so I don't know what's going on there.
Not boding well, I think. We'll continue to attend the roundtable meetings, and I won't be there for the 16th, because that's when we leave, so if anybody wants to go in my place, it doesn't have to be just me, so. And it's interesting that Gladys is generally there too now at those meetings.
Can you tell me where it's at again? I'm sure you.
It's in the main Boulder Public Library building down in Arapahoe. There's a second floor meeting room there, so.
Do you have to RSVP or do you just
No,
show up?
to show up, yeah, it's a real informal, it's just sit around a table like this and say what's going on, and everybody talks about what's going on in their area, so. It's supposed to be 11:30 to 12, but it usually goes 11:30 to 12:30. So some people bring along some snacks. Is anybody going to the CPI conference? Anybody, Mary?
No.
So we're not going to be represented, we won't have anybody there at the CPI conference learning new stuff, which is just fine.
If anyone does want to go, please let me know. I mean,
Yeah,
again, it is an expense paid for by the town, but if any member would like to go.
I actually don't know what that is.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask.
Oh, I'm sorry. Colorado Preservation Incorporated, so it's a preservation conference. It's a multi-day conference and with plenary speakers and breakouts on smaller topics that have to do with historic preservation. So it's real valuable. It's a typical event like that where you got people coming in from all over the country.
Where's the
Big emphasis on Colorado.
Where's it held this year?
Yeah, you kind of,
I haven't seen where it's held this year. Last year was at the Sheraton in downtown Denver, so
it's always downtown
Nice.
Denver, and you kind of pick and choose the things you want to go to, but they're usually really interesting.
And they have, at the cost, of course, they have speakers over the noon meal and so forth. And,
That's the town.
yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, I'll just
Is
send
the
you guys a
budgeted
link
item?
now.
And last year I actually presented as part of the presentation on the cemetery thing, and
Yeah.
it didn't evolve this
It
year.
was a
so-
snowy day, wasn't it?
One of the worst ever I've been in my life, yeah.
Yeah.
But Estella was involved in that too, so that's probably why it didn't happen this year. Brian and I are brainstorming about the approach on the leadership elections. We have to have our election next month, and we were thinking about, once you,
Well, I was just
Put that
saying,
out there. I
I
like that
know
idea.
something ACES did last night when talking about leadership elections for this year is instead of, discussing it now and potentially nominating people and, let's say, feeling uncomfortable with putting someone on the spot, potentially, we could start, Larry and I, or Larry could start an email chain, since he's the chair, with maybe his intentions of continuing, wanting to continue or not continue. Other people could chime in and express whether they would like to possibly be the chair based on that, or, and maybe feel more comfortable in that email format, discussing it as opposed to, this right now, so, and,
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, go from there in February.
I sure like the sound of that, so that way people could nominate or suggest somebody to be nominated and or nominate themselves. That's always an option too. One wants to put one's name in consideration. So the offices are chair, vice chair, and secretary. The other committees have secretaries.
Not like, really chair and vice chair are the only ones that,
That's what I thought.
but, there's no harm in doing the secretary.
I think a few
So who
committees have
does their-
secretary.
Yeah, secretary,
Yeah,
yeah,
CAPS has a
okay.
secretary.
Yeah, okay,
Does
yeah.
that
Who
change?
does their minutes or?
Depends committee to committee, they
Yeah.
kind of all handle it differently.
Oh, okay.
But I think if we want to go forward with having one person take point on the minutes, I think it makes sense to designate them secretary. And
And we have this capable person doing it right now, so.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Does this change every year?
Okay, the problem I have, and I'll bring this up to everybody, is I can't hear everybody. My hearing is good one-on-one. It's not good in a big group. And I'm hearing only probably 60% of what's said here.
Oh.
So that's an issue, maybe. Sometimes I rely on Larry to tell me what people are saying sometimes.
Well, it seems to be getting done, so.
Well,
the notes are always excellent.
that's up to you folks. I just want to let everybody know if somebody wants to do the secretarial stuff because they can hear everybody, I'm willing to do it, but it's
Well, that's the discussion we
a
can
small
have.
disadvantage at times.
That's what we can have discussion of that during this dialogue on
Yeah,
nominations.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up there, but
Very
do it
good.
now.
And one option that is being implemented already with a couple other committees is, it's a function on Granicus, which is the software for the notes and the agendas for the town committee that Karen Snortland works on it, but, it's called Minutes Maker, and so the person has a laptop in front of them. I think ProStack might be doing this now. And you kind of timestamp the agenda item, but you can actively take notes during the meeting and capture it in real time. So I don't know I know it's definitely it's a positive, but we haven't implemented it yet here with you guys, but it is something that I'll have to plead a little bit of ignorance on all the functions of it, but I know then those notes are captured in that, and then it's essentially uploaded to the town website, so. I could get more information on that for sure in next month's meetings.
Okay. So we'll do the nominations by email. All right. Through email, we'll come up with the nominees to be on the slate at the February meeting.
And Twyla, you asked, how is it every year? Were you gonna ask?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
is this every year, change every year, is that?
We have elections every year, yeah.
The process?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So who, you were last year and you.
Larry has been
He
since
keeps
the
getting
dinosaurs.
Oh, the chairperson since 2006, right?
2006, yeah.
Oh,
I
no
think so.
kidding. Okay, so you are not going to do it anymore, or?
No.
Or we
No,
can
it's just-
still nominate?
it's,
There's a
Just go-
decision made every year.
to go through
Do we
the
want to
process.
keep Larry, do we want to have somebody else?
Okay,
You want to keep Larry or string him up or what?
okay.
Or bring Wally back off the bench?
And the vice chair is
No, it's me.
Mary's vice chair right now.
vice chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now it's Larry, Mary, and Karen.
Larry, Mary.
Well, and Bob.
Larry, Daryl, and Daryl.
Well, and what about the treasurer? I mean,
Well, the treasurer's kind of ceremonial right now, I think.
Oh, okay,
So keep Bob involved, so, because otherwise it's all
Okay.
handled by the town.
yeah.
Okay, so then, I think we've covered everything except the sponsoring a Christmas march, sponsoring a Christmas, what's it called?
Well, it was the Veterans Holiday Tribute that she did this last year, which was
Holiday tribute.
like the Wreaths Across America, but
Yeah,
a personal sort of low-budget way of doing it. So
okay. Would you like to present the proposition to us then? So apparently she's proposing that we would sponsor this. The church sponsored it this past year, a church.
So,
Oh, something, oh, I may I speak?
yeah,
Lady Gladys Fortune mentioned that the Lafayette Miners Museum has a list of where all the miners are buried. In case we were interested, apparently there's a new administrator there and she's very helpful. Did Gladys mention that to you?
I think so, but I can't remember. So she said that Lafayette Cemetery has
yeah.
a list of miners buried. I didn't-
Lafayette, I guess.
Okay.
Well, Paul, you know where the Lafayette Cemetery is.
Yeah,
I've had some communication with
But
Gladys. I
Gladys
can't remember if
thought
that was
it
part
might
of it.
be of interest to this group. Yeah.
Well, what about her idea about sponsoring the, yeah, that's more important. Lafayette Miners.
That I can tell you.
Yeah.
Yes. I can forward the email Gladys sent me. I was surprised. Oh, oh, you are? They have time for Paul and their agenda today. Yeah. Well, Larry, there are two approaches we can take. We can do what Christ the servant did and run our own tribute. That's the low-cost approach. The supplies we bought at Hobby Lobby were less than 1,000, and we recruited the volunteers to craft and decorate. We had 20 to 30 people involved. That's low cost, and we can assure ourselves we'll be prepared. Or we can coordinate with wreaths across America, but it must be a wreath. We can order wreaths from Home Depot and have a veteran purchase them on a veteran's discount, but that's got to happen on Black Friday. That gives you only about 2 weeks to get your wreaths together and be ready for the Wreaths Across America Day. My calculation is to do the Louisville Cemetery would take about $4,000. So we'd need to start the fundraising no later than March. Those are the two approaches available to the commission.
And that would be at Louisville Cemetery.
yeah.
Can I, because I did go, and can I say what it was like? Which was a really nice affair with it. Paul had a lot to do with it, I think. There were some chairs, most people just stood around. There was like a small program of prayer, a real thank you to the veterans. Piped in music, was it the Star Spangled? No, God Bless America. So we could all sing it and have a musical accompaniment. Since it was on Pearl Harbor Day this past year, the flag was already at half-mast, and there is a flag there. And then different people, I presume, from Christ the Servant went around and put these decorations on. They had maps of where the veterans were buried there. And it was a very moving and worthwhile project. They had a lot of people involved. So.
Is it, So my comments, I have to be careful here. So, because I help out, I was pulled in to be a co-chair. And so if you guys took this on in any way, you have to realize that somebody else is going to have to co-chair, even though she can coordinate a lot of stuff. So you guys know that from past experience. My feeling, personally, is that I wish that it could just be a bigger deal at Veterans Day, personally.
Number two.
I know that. Well, and I, you know, December is such a busy time. Yeah. And Veterans Day, to me, sort of starts off the series. So that's my own opinion. But it was a good, it did well. I'm just not sure how much I personally am going to be involved in supporting this time.
Well, yeah.
I did it as part of the church aspect. So.
Is she asking us to donate financially or actually do the work as well?
To run it.
To run it.
To run it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, it was originally run by the Broomfield Rotary. And I don't know why they pulled out.
Okay.
But, you know, Wreaths Across America is an interesting fundraising program that you can follow and get people to donate and buy things and actually make money for an organization. But I don't know that it fits with churches and cities' ambitions. That's,
Yeah.
I'm saying, I'm going to have to explain what I said there.
My thought would be that we definitely want to support it, but because it's Louisville, I know that there's Superior, I know the connection, but we should not be the ones that are running it,
Yes.
or the sole donor. I mean, Louisville's got to get involved. Louisville wrote, you know, I think my message, this is my personal, that we definitely want to support it, but I don't know if the Superior Historic Commission should be taking on something for the Louisville, and I know it's for veteran, you know, but if so, then does it become bigger and we do something at our cemetery too? Or do we do something, I mean, I think there's probably a lot more discussion that needs to be done over it, but I think it's a great idea, right?
Well,
Everyone
we
agrees
could
it's a
just
great
say-
idea.
I tend to agree with Katie that
Same here.
it feels like Louisville should run it, we could join, but it doesn't feel quite,
Well,
Yeah.
to
we
be
have our
honest,
own piece of cake here to take care of.
to be honest, it seems like it should be, I mean, I don't know who puts the Boy Scouts put out the stuff on Veterans Day, because it's beautiful. You go over there and there's flags everywhere.
Louisville, you mean?
At every cemetery,
Okay.
but at the Louisville Cemetery. So the problem is that you know, a lot of these VFWs the folks are getting along in years because they demand that they be people who actually fought in a foreign war as opposed to just being a veteran.
Yeah.
And so they're too small they're the ones that should take this on, VFW programs.
VFWs are closing their local.
They define themselves down too far.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's an opinion. So,
Well, why don't we, go ahead.
well, I can just tell her that you're
Take it under advisement.
taking it under advisement, and I will also respond that I don't think that you guys are interested in being fully supportive of it.
Yeah, again, yeah, we would certainly contribute and participate, but don't want to run it.
Yeah, I'd rather do something in our little cemetery.
Yeah.
Do we know who's a veteran, or I'm sure.
We know two for sure. We have our two Civil War people in there, but yeah,
So,
we don't.
in our own little way, I think we need to do it for ours.
Yes, I agree.
So is Wreaths Across America just for veterans, or is it to decorate?
It's for, you know, if you want to know the whole history of it, there's a commercial backing to it a little bit. But in any case, people like the concept of mass,
Thank you.
See you, Katie.
mass placement of
Yeah.
wreaths
Understand.
at veterans cemeteries. That's how it got started.
Okay.
But it was started by the wreath people,
Okay.
one company in Maine
Uh-huh.
who lost the LLB contract.
So,
So I have my own.
what an idea.
So my dad was chief signal officer of the Army.
Mhm.
My grandfather's chief signal officer of the Army. I still prefer Veterans Day.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I do too, I think.
Yeah.
anyway, I'm going to explore it a little bit with her.
Okay.
But the church didn't want to do it either because it's not our focus. It's really a veterans appreciation focus, and it should come from the city or a veterans organization.
Yeah, that sounds more logical than a church or a historical society.
You know, it worked out that we happen to have a guy that runs the Thursday funerals at Fort Logan.
Oh,
And he is in the honor guard. He brought the whole honor guard up there.
So they could be there.
But
Oh, that
he
was cool.
was not necessarily going to want to do this every time. He's doing it every Thursday.
mm-hmm. Well,
Anyway, so that's the deal. If she is going to keep pursuing other ways to do it, then certainly what support you gave before was certainly helpful. But it's a huge project to take
Yeah.
on.
well, that's what I'm
Church
thinking
didn't
too,
want to
yeah.
take it.
Again, one person has to do an awful lot to be the helper-outer person. Okay, we'll take that under advisement, and before we adjourn, Mary, on the field trip. You want to bring that up?
Oh.
A little walk.
Okay, well,
It's almost 12 o'clock.
yeah, it goes back to something that was talked about at the museum, and that was something that Danny said he'd, where to Wally here? Danny, something about down where that, sounds like it might be where the Hague Homestead Park area, which we were all sort of, some of us sort of vague, and we were talking about maybe having a field trip down there some time after a meeting here, just to sort of know where it was and look at the
Oh, down here
mine
where the
shaft.
barn was?
Yeah,
Yeah,
where the other
Homestead
mine shaft
Foundation,
was.
Yeah, Homestead
Fences
Foundation
and that sort of stuff, yeah.
and the water source for the mine.
Yeah.
We could do it right now if you have time, or we could schedule it.
It was a little warmer day,
A
maybe.
little warmer days, right?
Oh, what a bunch of.
It's
Yeah,
33
I like it.
degrees out.
Cold out there.
If you're looking for a wussy volunteer,
I've got a lot of those, huh? Yeah, maybe keep it in mind for,
yeah, because there's quite a bit to see down in there, and it's gonna be an hour or more. I'm guessing if we get over in the old trailhead, it's gonna be more, because he showed me some different stuff down there where we can look at.
I think mostly, people are always asking, where is that? And I keep saying, oh, it's over there by, yeah, but where is that? So
Right.
it's mostly, I think, to get oriented to where this site is. And if you haven't seen the fence around the old Hague Morrell house,
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yep. Then we could have walking shoes on.
right, so
Yeah.
plan for it, huh?
Yeah, so would after a meeting be good, or say, February or March? April's gonna get pretty busy,
We have these
or do we
days
want
like today where we take almost 2 hours, and so
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
kind of ready to go.
I think that we just have to play that sort of by ear,
Yeah.
without doing it at the last second, of course.
Right. Or,
Yeah, a little warmer,
have
a little
another
warmer period of time.
Friday, where we meet at 10 and all go together?
Sure do that.
Yeah.
When they go out for lunch.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I like that.
There you go.
There we go.
You always give people.
Yeah, see, now we got Wally's attention. I said,
Yeah, we're eating again.
Donuts.
was there any other, new business?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Then, yeah.
I start getting flat spot.
So, do we need to have a motion to adjourn, or people's gonna walk out?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Oh, there it is.
I second.
There's the second, okay. Okay, good work on the plan today, everybody.
Well,
Check this, I got
yeah.
a warranty guy coming in this
Yeah, a lot of
afternoon.
work, that's
I
right.
hope that wasn't him
See you
calling.
all in February.
They always call when you're in the meeting.
That's right, absolutely.
I know, I guess.
We got